Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I'd not only like to discuss another dishonest headline, which, anyone reading the article will know is dishonest, but the reaction on social media, which is much rarer. I've discussed a few times how headlines in a range of newspapers has been contradicted by the content in the article itself. You read a headline, gives you one impression, you read the article, go, oh, he didn't say that at all. How newspapers seem to think it's fine to tell us lies in the headline. As long as they correct themselves in the article, it's all fine. But what I found remarkable is this particular headline, which is a bad one, has been singled out for criticism when, to me, it happens quite regularly. And it is why I call for news outlets to be forced by law into a duty of reasonable accuracy. But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out. So, front page of the Mail on Sunday yesterday, poll, Starmer will be out of number 10 in a year. The first line of the article says that a poll predicts that Starmer will be ousted within a year, backing up the headline. Now, obviously a poll can't possibly predict this. At best, it might find a majority of people who believe it will happen. But if you conduct a poll which finds a majority thinking that Nigel Farage will be Prime Minister in 2029, that's also not a prediction. It's just a measure of public opinion. Even then, such poll results would be surprising, given the actual polling that I've seen regularly shows that Starmer is people's preferred Prime Minister of the talked about alternatives. He may not be covering himself in glory, but people still think he's better than, the options. The latest from Ipsos, for example, in the last few days, shows 32% think Starmer is better Prime Minister than Badenoch would be. 18% think that she would be better. 37% think Starmer would be better than Farage. 25% think Farage would be better. I mean, they're not stunning results. It's a consequence of Starmer playing the technocrat who will justify himself purely on results, which won't appear for like a couple of years now, rather than playing the political game as well, which I've said plenty of times. This is like putting all your eggs in one basket. I think it's a mistake. But nonetheless, it's not exactly consistent with the idea that people think a Prime Minister who has just won a huge majority is on his way out. Like when Boris Johnson fell, he was not considered a better option to the alternative. So the poll is immediately dubious. However, that's not what people had a beef about on social media. It's the fact that in the second paragraph of the article, it says, according to this poll, almost a third of people think Starmer will only last another year at most. Right. Almost a third of people. So the headline says that the poll predicts he will be ousted within a year. But the article says this is based on not even a third of people saying so. I mean, that could just be the people who voted Conservative or Reform UK. More importantly, it's a very long way off being a majority view, even according to this poll. If you're going to say that a poll says something about public opinion, it at least has to be based on a plurality. Not always a majority, admittedly, because you've always got some people saying don't know. But when you've removed the don't knows, should be a majority. But the poll results show 31% think he'll be gone in a year. They fiddled it to appear to be the top result by asking people specifically how many years they think he'll last. Well, how are you supposed to do that? So there are obviously some people, he'll be gone in the next year. There were some other people saying, I think he'll last 2 years. Some saying 3 years, 4 years, and so on. So the single biggest result was for those within a year. But it's like, but you're either going to be of the view that you think he'll be gone very quickly, or that he'll be around forever, or you don't really know if you're somewhere in between. So that's not how you present poll results. The real result is 31% think he'll last no more than a year, 54% think he'll last more than that. So even with their dodgy presentation, the headline is dishonest. So you think, well, so how does that work then? Well, it works because outlets like the Mail behave like a desperate social media gobshite who so desperately wants clicks, they will just post whatever they think gets them, regardless of whether or not they can back the claim up. But then, because there can be consequences for a newspaper lying, they correct the headline in the article. And there seems to be this unwritten rule amongst legacy media that this is fine. And there's nobody to tell them different, because there are almost no laws governing the conduct of newspapers. And for the few rules which do exist, they self-regulate. So they decide whether or not they've broken their own rules. But what I found remarkable was the reaction from some on social media. So decrying the dishonesty as if this was a rarity. Like, it happens all the time. Sure, there are times when it's so far out there that it makes you double take. And, this was a particularly galling one. But, I mean, not even yesterday. It's not even like it stood out as, oh, this is the dishonest article from yesterday. There was another article getting attention, Robert Jenrick's piece in the Telegraph. Plenty of people, including some conservatives, comparing it to the rivers of blood speech and how it is inciting racial hatred, which could result in people being killed. I would go further. It lies. That's the most important thing. It lies. In the opening paragraph, Jenrick, who's talking about the, organised gangs of child sex abusers, says the problem is predominantly down to, in his words, men of Pakistani heritage. This is mind-blowingly false, not even close to the truth. People of Pakistani heritage account for 2% of these cases. White British account for 83% of cases. Which one is it actually predominantly caused by? Even on a per capita basis, you go, oh yeah, but there's loads of white British people in the country, Phil. There's not so many British Pakistanis or anything like that. It's like, even when you do it per capita, someone who is white British is statistically more likely to be a child sex abuser than someone of Pakistani heritage, because the number of people who are involved in these crimes of Pakistani heritage is smaller than the number of people of Pakistani heritage in the country. But the number of white British people that take part in these crimes is greater than the proportion of white British in the country. So if you get a random white British person, a random person of Pakistani origin, the white person is statistically much more likely to be a child sex abuser. It's really that simple. Yet an article like this can be published when it's clear it's designed to stoke racial hatred. It's designed to absolutely stoke racial hate. We've just seen what that does last summer. And it's not even like they can claim, oh yes, but but uncomfortable truths must be told. No, because it's not a truth. It's a lie. But this sort of thing happens all the time. Newspapers are much worse for misinforming the public than broadcast news. Broadcast news has some standards and some sort of independent oversight. So although they also mislead at times, it's usually using language which is truthful, but it fails to add some important context, so people go away with a misleading view. Or they'll interview someone who lies and they don't call out those lies. The newspapers, both in print and online, they'll make a headline up because it's good for clicks. Then they'll tidy it up in the article, which only their strongest supporters will read. And then when it's an opinion piece like the Robert Jenrick thing, they'll just argue, that's just wall-to-wall lies. Because they will just argue, oh, that's not us saying it, that's him, we're just giving him a platform. They should still be responsible for that. Because that's why they publish dishonest headlines and bylines. Because they know it's easily shareable. You can clip a headline or a byline and you can have it racing around social media in no time. The image can go around Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and so on. YouTubers can make a video based only on the few words of a headline. They can just go. I've seen people do videos just of a headline and read lots into it. They don't bother to tell you what the rest of the article says. They never discuss that. They only discuss the few words that they want to, that gives an impression they want to present. And to hell with accuracy. All just to get clicks and spread the misinformation. And until Labour realise that part of the way to restore trust in politics, which, I believe they do want to do, part of the answer to that is to make news media trustworthy, then we'll not make much progress without it. And the way to make news media trustworthy is reward accuracy and punish inaccuracy. Right now, inaccuracy is rewarded. It is possible, sure, to make the truth exciting and click-worthy, absolutely. But it sometimes takes time and effort. It's much easier to get, if you're trying to get a post that's going to get lots of clicks, it's much easier, instead of thinking, how do I make this story exciting, to just think, what will they want to click on? What will they want to click on, true or not? And you create an article or a video that has the headline that will be very click-worthy if you don't have to worry about whether it's true. So again, I'll just say my simple solution to this is a legally enforced duty of reasonable accuracy. That's not curtailing the freedom of the press. It's not telling them what they can and can't report on or what conclusions they can draw. Doesn't stop them being politically biased. It just bans them from publishing lies. It says anything you publish, you have to have reasonable grounds to believe is true. It still allows you to publish opinions, which might be out of kilter with common belief, but it cannot be based on false facts. It still allows for genuine mistakes as well, where you report on something, fast-moving story. It was difficult to verify at the time, but it would punish lies where the truth was easy to find out, especially for a professional journalist who know how to verify facts. And it goes without saying, the punishment should ramp up to something pretty severe, including imprisonment for repeated transgressions. We're not saying a first offence. If a journalist doesn't think they have the skill to be reasonably sure that what they're publishing is accurate, then maybe they're not really a journalist and should get a different career. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for listening, and until next time, I'll see you later.